Welcome to the Niagara-based Evening Update.
DH.
There's a place I know in Ontario where the sea lions kiss, so the story goes. It's amazing shows and friendship code. Everyone loves Marineland. You'll be spending, diving and soaring high. Our roller coaster ride will fly you to the sky. Now you know what you say when you leave here today. Everyone loves Marineland.
Well, not everyone. We've got here the DEI chair using her title as DEI chair for some anti-Marineland activism, as we've documented here at NiagaraBase.com and in previous videos. Cutting here to the interesting part.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Is this Councillor Thompson?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, hi. My name is Sabrina Hill. I'm the chairperson for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee for the Niagara region. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Good. I'm not calling in my official capacity with the region, but I'm calling in regards to a recent agenda item that I had placed on the agenda, or sorry, on the council meeting for the 21st of June. In regards to renaming Marineland Parkway.
Oh,
I'm just doing a quick kind of global survey, getting a count on who might be supporting and who won't be supporting the motion or my petition.
Nobody.
I'm Sabrina Hill, chair of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Advisory Committee for Niagara Region. How are you doing? I'm not calling in my official capacity at the region. I'm doing a global survey. But I'm actually the one who put the motion forward.
In favor?
Well, I'm the one that brought the motion. I'm the one. Yeah, I'm the one that put the matter on the agenda.
What's your name?
Sabrina Hill.
Yeah. So, why would you do that?
Well, primarily because I think it's time that Niagara Falls reflect its current state, where we don't necessarily believe in the commodification and captivity of intelligent sea mammals for
You're talking to the
entertainment
wrong
purposes.
guy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no,
yeah.
I do know that I'm talking to the wrong guy. I heard your remarks at the city council that you hope the matter doesn't come back.
So this isn't a global survey then?
Okay, I'm sorry, can we get your hands up high? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's approved. Thank you for that.
As long as it doesn't come back.
I thought you were calling about a global survey, Sabrina. Why are you confronting him about what he said in council if you're calling about a global survey? Well said, guy. Well said. And that is the point. Sabrina Hill had the audacity to be a crybaby about this and threatened to, if not actually file a code of conduct complaint against veteran councillor Wayne Thompson. And for some reason, this was readily platformed by the Niagara Falls Review through Ray Spiteri, who told this report. And there's this interesting section down here about the discussion about the length of time until after it's too late to file, because the election is coming right up. And so for some reason there wasn't a clear answer exactly, but according to Matson, I think for the purposes of investigating code of conduct, I interpret it to be nomination day, August 9th. So that would be interesting, thinking the Integrity Commissioner is going to interpret it the same. So that would be interesting if we could look into that, because we got this 2 years. That's not confirmed. So that was just an interesting little tidbit. Looking here at Sabrina Hill's blog, we have a quote I wanted to read for you. This is Sabrina Hill describing Wayne Thompson. So I in case you didn't catch the rest of the story, just in case you weren't aware of the rest of the story, he gets mad and calls her a dog. You sick dog. And so that's what she's filing about. That's what the issue is here. Forgot to mention that. But
Intelligent
because I've been talking about it in previous
sea
videos.
mammals for
You're
There it is.
talking to the
Entertainment
wrong
purposes.
guy.
yeah.
So,
Well, no,
yeah.
I do know that I'm talking to the wrong guy. I heard
So again, you know you're talking to the wrong guy. You're not doing a survey. If you were doing a survey, you would say thank you, I appreciate your opinion, and you'd move on to the next call. But you're getting into advocacy, not exactly a survey.
your remarks at the city council that you hope the matter doesn't come back.
Okay, I'm sorry, can we get your hands up high? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, okay.
Saying that you didn't say that as long as it doesn't come back.
No.
Yeah. So it was a setup, like he says here. It was a setup. So that's enough of that story. Moving through, let's take a look at. So the only reason that Sabrina Hill has our attention is because she's the DEI chair, and last week tweeted this, being insulting towards conservative voters, saying Pierre Poilievre, besides being super anti-democratic, he also seems to be firmly planted in the anti-science, anti-reality camps. I do not dispute the fact that there are a lot of very stupid people who will vote for this moron. This does not bode well for my country, she said, retweeting that Pierre Poilievre called vaccine mandates unfair, unscientific bullying. And he said he encourages everyone to keep protesting government attacks on our freedoms. And I responded asking this question: you are the chair of the Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Committee, correct? Do you favor vaccination mandates? Are you saying that anyone who does not favor vaccination mandates is, quote, anti-science, anti-reality, and, quote, very stupid? Well, there was no response except for the Twitter account suddenly became tweets protected. So that's another hidden tweet. And then there's this week's activities: calling up a city councillor, recording the call, setting them up for a confrontation by lying to them about your intentions going in, and then getting insulted and then using the insult as if you're the victim in order to get press. Quite a campaign strategy for Sabrina Hill for regional council. The malicious, sincere, and menacing threat levied against me by Mr. Thompson unnerved me, as I deeply cherish and care about my service to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Advisory Committee and the Women's Advisory Committee. So, as I see it, we're continuing here with the quote, as I see it, what Mr. Thompson was in fact doing when he hazily threatened my position at the Niagara region was to deny me the ability to advocate for marginalized communities through those positions, a long-standing and paramount mission of mine. Okay, well, maybe you shouldn't have used your chair title to get on the phone to advocate for Marineland stuff. I mean, it was a completely disingenuous introduction. The only reason Mr. Thompson is discussing the fact that you're DEI chair is because you brought it up, as if it was relevant. You want to make it relevant? Now it's relevant. I don't think this integrity commissioner thing is going to go so far. I do predict. But this will be the second the second code of conduct. No, let me say it properly now. This will be the second DEI chair to run into some trouble. We recall DEI chair Emily Spanton posted a tweet with 3 orange hearts over a burning church fire, and controversy ensued. She was ousted from the committee and threatened to sue. And that was just 7 months ago. 1 year ago was the controversial tweet. That was her Canada Day tweet, of all things. And then here's the headline from December 17th, Alan Benner, St. Catharines Standard. Region's Diversity Committee Chair ousted. Spanton says she's considering legal action. I don't know if anything ever came of that. St. Catharines resident Emily Spanton has threatened legal action against Niagara Region after being removed from its Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Advisory Committee last week. So you catch what I'm driving at here, don't you? there's an unstable aspect to these DEI chair people. There's a sort of, I'm going to say unstable in this case, all right? But there's some controversy. They run into some controversy. I actually would reckon, I do dare say, that this tweet by Emily Spanton ain't nothing compared to the stunt that Sabrina Hill just tried to pull. But staying on the previous DEI chair, because at the time, Emily Spanton used her title as DEI chair to engage in discourse directly with me. Here we're looking at a tweet from August where Karima Saad took issue with signs equating vaccines to rape and the Holocaust. And I riffed on that at the time. Riffed on what she was saying by saying this. Rape is when you are forced or coerced into being penetrated. And here's Emily Spanton saying, I normally ignore the vitriol. Someone forwarded this to me, and as the only woman on the Niagara Region Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee who is public about being sexually assaulted, I can't stay silent. Public health measures are not equivalent to rape. Flash forward just a few months to this interesting contradiction. Ohio has decided it's okay for physicians to sexually assault children as young as 10 years old if they are female. Before you at me, forcing anyone to undergo an unwanted medical procedure is assault. This theme will come up again because what we're seeing here are DEI chairs whom give nary a lick, don't care, and are in fact antagonistic towards the issue of vaccine mandates. And those who would resist vaccine mandates are spoken out against. This is 2 DEI chairs in a row speaking out against criticism, resistance to vaccine mandates. And at the previous occasion with Emily Spanton, when she was given the boot, there was some discussion later in council raised by one of these dudes. Someone raised some discussion in council to have a draft of a code of conduct for committee members. So there's a known need at council that they need a code of conduct for committee members. It says here John Mascarin. John Mascarin might be interested in the antics that have been going on at the DEI committee. And why is it so important? Well, in just a few weeks, the 5-year plan for DEI, which will transform the region, is set to be voted on in council. And so I have been looking into it ever so carefully with a fine-toothed comb and a stack of papers, as I am so happy to show you that I've probably read this in more detail than any councillor except for those directly involved. I'm guessing, because they all have lives and things to do, and they're like, yeah, rubber stamp. So they're not going to preen through the documents looking for quotes, looking for charts, looking for this and that. So I found some of this and some of that. Here's a chart. Types of discrimination. Headline, 24% of discrimination survey said vax status. This is the Niagara Region's DEI survey, went out last year, and what came back was, in 4th place, vaccination status. 1/4 of respondents, I believe there was 1,600 respondents, is the number. So that means 400 people responded as such, vaccine status, putting it above every other category that one would think of relevant to DEI, except perhaps gender. Sexual orientation, only 15% have experienced it. Race, only 18%, and so on. And also, interestingly, mental health isn't really addressed by DEI framework whatsoever. It's really all identitarian politics. And then there was this. There was the top 5 themes in the document. The top 5 themes in the survey that came back from the community were these 5 words: And I think these are words we might find useful. Inclusive, diverse, free, safe, and accepting. I think that those are phrases that, frankly, everyone can agree on. Unfortunately, how do we get there is always the question. So that brings us to looking into where it all began. And where it all began was, we're talking about the survey, was, it looks like November 15th, 2021 here. We've got the councillor who brought the motion forward for the divisive. The councillor brought it forward. Here's Laura Yip on CKTB. Coming right up.
Regional Councillor and a member of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee. Laura Yip, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell me a little bit more about, is this the first diversity survey that Niagara Region has ever done?
I mean, I guess I don't know the actual answer to that, but I feel so confident saying yes that I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Maybe some point back in the mid-'70s, there may have been a survey done.
Sure.
But you feel confident that this is... What's the purpose of the survey? What are you hoping to learn from residents once they fill this out?
Well, yeah, so this is an initiative. This comes out of the region joining the Coalition of Inclusive Municipalities, and then we formed the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee to ensure that we were putting some action behind joining that coalition and not just doing it for the photo op. And we're looking to learn from the various communities across the Niagara region what they're witnessing or experiencing in terms of discrimination and
Well, 25% say vaccine discrimination.
bias, whether it's in their workplace, it's at school, it's in the general community, all of those aspects.
Okay. Where does someone, and can anyone take the survey? I assume residents of Niagara, but do you screen for that?
And there's a bunch of demographic questions that ask. I mean, it's possible. I mean, anybody could take the survey. It's on the internet.
Anybody can take the survey. It's on the internet.
We're hoping that it would be people who live in Niagara, possibly even people who have lived in Niagara, right? But obviously people who are coming to the survey with some knowledge about Niagara. Maybe people have left Niagara because of the experiences that they've had. We would like to hear from them.
How long will the survey take?
The survey, I actually did it the other day.
She did her own survey.
It took me 15 minutes. I think online we say it'll take about 20 minutes to complete. So,
is that scientifically valid to do your own survey? I don't know.
It really just depends, because there's a number of questions where, you pull, you select options, and then it asks you if you have ideas for things. So it could take a little bit longer if people have a lot to say in those feedback sections.
Oh, okay. So a survey. Have you identify yourself through maybe some demographics, and then it would be have you experienced this, and then any suggestions. So a bit more interactive than just answering, on a scale of 1 to 5, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Every question where we ask, have you experienced or witnessed X, Y, Z? There's a number of different options or examples throughout the survey. We ask what ideas the person has for resolving those issues.
So you gather all of this. The survey is open until when? End of the month?
I believe it's December the 1st. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So December 1st, you get all these responses. You hope. What do you think would be a robust enough number to have impact? Because you and I both know 3 means nothing. 30,000 means a lot.
Let's find out.
It's going to be somewhere between there.
Yeah, it's. I think we've been told in the past that 600 responses for a population the size of Niagara is considered to be statistically significant.
600 responses is considered to be statistically significant. You don't say. Well, you've got over 1,600 responses, and 1/4 of them, of those who say they've experienced discrimination, say vaccine status discrimination.
I mean, I would like to see, because it's about the Niagara region, and it does touch on so many aspects of living in the region. I would hope that we get a lot more than 600 responses. Obviously, the more responses, the better.
Unless they're from people who've experienced vaccine discrimination. We don't want those. I'm impressed they even included it. I'm looking here at the questions. Types of, I have experienced discrimination on the basis of, I don't see vaccine even listed here. It ain't even listed here. It says all the other things, but that means that up to 400 people put vaccine status in the other category. Vaccine status coming in 4th behind gender, age, and mental health. None of those having anything to do with leftist identitarianism. Not about being gay, not about being a minority. Ageism. Hey, that reminds me, how old is Wayne Thompson? Oh, he's 82. So, an 82-year-old man got called up on the phone. Anyway, back to this one. Back to this story.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully we're going to hit a number that we can feel confident that the feedback that we're getting is worthwhile and following up on. The challenge, of course, is that there are so many different components to this survey that even with, really worthwhile feedback, it could still be all over the map and make it difficult to sort of select, which things do we start working on first.
I don't think you were even basing the data on your plans. You got your plans, and you plan on using the data however you want to drive your plans.
When do you hope to have a report on this? So it
came out a month or two
doing
later.
Work in that regard.
Do lower tier municipalities, would they be doing something similar, or is that redundant, do you think?
Yeah, they do.
Here's what happened in City X, and this is what they did about it.
Yeah, well, that's why we're in the Coalition of Inclusive Municipalities, because it provides a toolkit of resources for us to expand our diversity portfolio.
I don't have a specific example to point to. I know that some municipalities that have joined have, done exercises like this and then undertaken education campaigns with respect to, combating racism in
Education campaigns. Do you really think that anyone is becoming less racist because their municipality put out a communication campaign? Imagine the hubris. Hey guys, how much do we have in our communication budget? Oh, we got $28,000 for the quarter. Okay, yeah, that ought to combat racism.
The community, or combating homophobia in the community, sort of, and because
I have an idea. You could paint your intersections with progress pride flags.
Because so often, so many of these things are things that we don't think about. We don't think about what we're saying or the impact that what we're saying has on individuals, right?
Laura Yip doesn't think about what she's saying or the impact that she has on other individuals. Let's hear it again.
In the community, sort of, and because so often, so many of these things are things that we don't think about. We don't think about what we're saying or the impact that what we're saying has on individuals, right? And so that public education campaign,
right? You'll clear that up for them.
Can make quite a difference for people. I don't think that most people are intentionally racist or homophobic as examples, right? It's that they may be saying or doing things that they don't realize that.
No, it's unconscious. Great. So you're going to unconsciously deprogram people.
The impact.
True. Although we've seen examples in the last year where people are a lot more blatant in their communication skills.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I was trying to be a little
some don't
bit
even
generous.
bother. Yeah, some people don't even bother hiding it. Others may use language that is out of date or not considered appropriate anymore and not realize it. and be like, oh, I did not know that. Thank you for
Was that a Jim Fannin reference?
is the name Gypsy Moth appropriate anymore? Okay. Okay, all right. Well, I'll let the entomologist decide that, but right on a
Entomologist or etymologist?
Things like, around hiring practices, right? You don't have a diverse workforce because you have one Indigenous person in your workplace. Those kinds of things. And again, I mean, some of that public education is maybe your hiring practices unintentionally exclude certain groups of people.
Unintentionally exclude certain groups. Well, actually, you've intentionally excluded a certain group, a group that is not up to snuff on their vaccination status. So there's no unintentional about it.
However, you've written a...
But as it pertains to what you're talking about unconscious bias, and you're going to solve that.
Job description or...
You're going to solve that with your little municipal program, both internal and external, aren't you?
Or job posting or whatever.
All right, and then finally, where can they get the info? Just on the Niagara Region website? Is that the best location?
Yeah, they have no idea. No idea.
We finally just passed, at least in principle, the lobbyist registry that I brought forward several months ago.
All right.
So we'll see if that passes at council. That's
Probably
not coming up on this next agenda.
You are the founder of Underdogs Boxing Club.
Here's an So this is where I wanted to draw your attention to something a little surprising. Now, if you recall the anti-lockdown movement, and
I imagine are you back on location at Underdogs, or is it a lot of still virtual, or is it both?
We're both. So we went back at the beginning of August when everything, when gyms and other similar settings reopened. So we went back at the beginning of August, but our class...
Wasn't it at the same time? No. But I mean, beginning of August. You're talking about last year. So as recent as this year, you wanted extra quarantines on students, and you were celebrating Dr. Hergy for wanting to keep masks on children, and you were celebrating Dr. Hergy's policies, but you opened your own business.
Class sizes are
when you could.
Capped at 5 right now, given a number of the limitations. And I kept, when we were shut down for that extended period of time, we went virtual with some strength training stuff. And when we reopened, there was an interest in keeping those virtual classes. So I kept them, and we're running a sort of a hybrid model right now. I have a number.
Can you imagine working out online with Laura Yip?
Of members who do attend in person and virtual. And then I have some who only attend in person or only attend virtual.
And how has it been? It's obviously it's now been 3 months. What's it been like going back to the gym, and what have your members thought about being back in person for those who go to the gym?
I mean, when we first went back, people were saying, "Oh my gosh, I miss boxing so much. I am never going to quit." People are just they're happy to be back. People join class environments because that's what they need, right?
Listen, I'm sorry I'm making you listen to this whole thing.
They need the motivation from other members. They need the accountability from other members, that sort of thing. So the in-person has been a huge improvement for a lot of people. And I think
You don't fucking say, Laura Yip. You don't fucking say.
Just for their mental well-being and socializing and that sort of thing as well. My members... Boxing clubs are interesting because a lot of times people just keep to themselves and do their workouts, even in a class environment. They sort of keep to themselves. Since we reopened, they're all very chatty. We still get the workout done, but everybody is much chattier than they used to be.
Really? You're chatty?
Are they a little too chatty? Is there a little too much talk, not enough rock going on, if you know what I mean? Or they're able to do it?
They're good. They're good. I'm not going to criticize them for being chatty.
Okay, all right. And before I let you go, you've
here's really probably the best part of this interview.
Also moved, though, have you not?
Yeah, we relocated almost immediately when the pandemic started. We co-located with Live Personal Training, which is actually where I do my my weight training and stuff. And that was both of us, and it was actually their idea, but that was both of us looking at the situation and going, you know what, we can't survive with having to pay rent and everything else, and being in these circumstances.
Can't survive having to pay rent being in these circumstances, huh, Laura?
So let's move as quick as we can and make a change. And honestly, if we hadn't made that decision at that point, Underdogs would not have survived the first shutdown. Never mind.
Your own business wouldn't have survived the first shutdown, and then you took such a position against so many business owners. You took such a position against so many business owners who were in the same position of you, and worse, and you didn't get it? Let's listen again, Laura.
Pay rent and everything else, and being in these circumstances. So let's move as quick as we can and make a change. And honestly, if we hadn't made that decision at that point, Underdogs would not have survived the first shutdown. Never mind the subsequent ones. We wouldn't have survived the first one.
Well, did you know that a bunch of businesses didn't survive the first and subsequent shutdowns? Did you know? Well, you survived, and I'm glad for you, Laura.
Yeah, so not far from your original location. Were you?
Did you? So he asks you, hey, you moved recently, huh? How you doing? You moved? And she's all like, oh, yeah, if we didn't move, we would have been destroyed by the lockdowns. And he's like, okay, that was a bit more than I asked for.
Were you on Secord? Is that right?
Yeah, we were on Secord, and now we're over on Scott Street near Vine in the Giant Tiger Pond.
All right, well, I wish you and your business all the best. I do not wish your 5-year plan all the best. I wish it to be exposed, and we are working oh so diligently to make that happen. We're now pushing past half an hour tonight, so I'm going to bail. You can find these videos not just on Facebook, but also I got a YouTube channel, and look at this, all this content. And you know what? It's pretty decent content. It's unique content. I need some thumbnails. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. We'll go out as we came in.
There's a place I know in Ontario where the sea lions kiss, so the story